Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is Kid Native Bloody Elbow coming at you from my new digs, joined by John Nash instead of Eugene S. Robinson, but I promise he's going to do his very best. Right, John?
I promise that I'll try to do my very best.
That's all we can ask. That's all we can ask. But we're here for the Care Don't Care preview for UFC 224, Nunes versus Pennington. So it tells you Eugene couldn't make it, so that's a care on one level. He is in Italy, but usually he has done these things from, fishing boats in Belgium and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not saying it's a commentary on the fights. I'm just saying it's a commentary on the fights. But John, you got to be a Eugene for a minute and give us a disclaimer.
Okay, so listen, all you bedwetters, crybabies, malinglers.
Eugene's got all that trademarked. You can't say any of that.
I can't say any of that. Okay, listen, all you screwheads. This is a man that we can't take it anymore. So if you have a problem with our predictions, with what we say, this has nothing to do with you. This has to do with how the man treats you, how the man promotes you. I don't know. I'm trying. You didn't give me any. I could have scripted this. I could have done better. But the whole point is, it doesn't say if we don't think you're a good fighter or not. What this says is how much promotional interest has been created in your fight, and also, the interest in the general audience. So you can't get upset at us. Go have a great fight. The next time we'll be interested in watching you.
Exactly. And for fans, it's like
I'm looking at here. My camera's over here, and I'm looking over here.
I don't know why you're doing that either.
I'm doing
a
multi-camera shoot, apparently.
I don't even want to speculate about what the things I see in the darkness behind you. We're not asking any questions. The Golden State Killer has been captured, so we're relatively sure you weren't involved in that. So that's a big load off.
Well, there is a few. One of the Grim Sleepers is still out there.
Uh-oh. Well, let's not even go there. So anyway, we've got UFC 224 on Saturday night, May 12th, 2018 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It airs, correct me if I'm wrong, at the correct time, the usual time, 10 p.m. Eastern time for the pay-per-view. And yeah, general levels of care here.
Well, you showed up, so I guess we care enough to do it. But Eugene didn't do it, and he's always here, and that kind of, I think, indicates right now the general interest level is pretty dang low.
Well, he had a big tour with his side band Buñuel and Italy and Rockstar and everything, So
Well, but what's the cooler thing? To sit and talk about a crappy UFC card, or be a rock star on stage with a lot of hot chicks throwing themselves at you and cocaine everywhere?
Yeah, I don't know that any of that happens, but this is one of Eugene's bands. So, but it probably does involve Eugene in his boxer shorts yelling at people. Anyway, but down to the card. Both pretty low on general interest. There's 4 fights on Fight Pass on the prelims, 4 fights on FX, not FS1, but FX for the prelims, and then 5 fights.
That says a lot.
It just says there's something else booked on FS1 is what it says.
Well,
basically.
But I think it says also that if it was anything remotely, if they had any indication that the UFC could get any ratings, I think they would bump whatever's on FS1.
Maybe. But FX has, FX time is more valuable than FS1 time. So, they'll definitely reach more randos by being on FX1. on FX than they would on FS1. But I don't know how many, FX1 viewers. What's even on FX? Ever since they canceled Louis,
It used to have Justified, which was really good, but I guess Atlanta's a big hit for them now.
Atlanta, I've heard of this Atlanta.
I have not seen it yet, but I heard it's very good.
Yes. That's the one with Childish Gambino, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's.
And what's his real name?
Danny Glover.
Danny Glover.
Not Donald Glover. He's not related.
It's not Danny Glover. Danny Glover's the old guy that was in the.
No, it's Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Okay.
Yeah, Danny Glover is the guy in Atlanta.
Like every other middle-aged white guy, I became aware from this weekend and enjoyed the video. So,
Yeah.
And I haven't written my essay for, the New Yorker yet, but.
There's a lot of room.
There's like 50 essays on that video. Like,
I haven't come up with I haven't got my alt-right neo-fascist viewpoint strong enough yet to
so you're not ready to take it to Ben Shapiro for publication?
Yeah. Well, it's just.
I'm sure he's looking for a contrarian take.
Yeah, Well, I went out and spoke to a bunch of people at a lunch counter at a Klan rally, and that's where I got my summary of what the Mid America really wants to see.
I see. Maybe you can write for the New York Times someday. Work like that will get you there. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll dive right into the Fight Pass prelims. Middleweight, Marcus Perez versus James Bochnovic.
You can move on.
Yeah. And again, if you want to hear the previews about who's cool, up and coming, talented, interesting style matchups, that's the MMA Vivisection later today. This is two dudes who pay attention to the sport. Have we heard any promo on these people? This is not like we're not finding nuggets. Don't look to us for fight knowledge. We haven't done any research. We could, but we haven't. This is about coming in cold and general reactions.
We could, but we're not gonna. That's not the show.
I'm way past that in this point in my career where I'm researching welterweight Alberto Mina and Ramazan Emeev.
No.
Yeah, I have no cares there. All right, middleweight, Jack Hermanson versus Thales Leites. Now we're getting to somebody the old dudes know.
Yeah, but I still don't. It's not. They're no longer relevant.
Relevant. Yeah, I gotta say I like Thales Leites. I've enjoyed many of his fights. He's had flashes of brilliance. He's obviously got jiu-jitsu skills and sometimes some stand-up. He's a game, gritty fighter. And I haven't given up on it. I still care. I'm sorry. It's like, I admit he's not relevant. He's
crap. Now I got to write this down. If you pick him up,
he's 2-4 in his last 6 UFC fights.
Yes.
He did decision Sam Alvey, which you just sort of paralyze Sam Alvey into indecision, and he's going to just stare at you. So I guess I care, and I guess I'll pick Leites just because I know nothing about this Hermanson cat. But the fact that they're putting
pure nostalgia to rub it in the faces everybody that watched the Anderson Silva fight.
Pretty much. But I mean, only us olds remember that fight, which was one of the shittiest Anderson Silva title defenses in the peak.
Only surpassed by Damian Maia.
It was not as bad as the Damian. Although actually,
it was actually worse. But
yeah, it wasn't as high
for the Damian fight. Not such hype, but it was just such a. You kept waiting for Anderson to do something. You kept waiting.
You expected more from the Damian Maia fight.
Yeah.
The Thales Leites fight was like the first time we'd seen Anderson do that. Like when we realized, oh wow, Anderson Silva is actually a counter striker, and if you don't come at him, he's not going to come at you. And if you butt scoot, he'll kick you on the thigh once and dance away. So, anyway, yeah. So we've got one sort of care. Welterweight, Varley Alves versus Sultan Aliyev.
No, they're not. No.
I almost care about Alves.
I do almost too, but not enough.
He hasn't crossed the line. Yeah. No, he definitely has not crossed the line. All right, so now we're on to the FX card. Welterweight, Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. That's an interesting conflation of names versus Shawn Strickland. Now, Shawn Strickland, we've not cared and cared about. We've cared about Strickland and confused him with Sam Cecilia or vice versa.
This Shawn Strickland was from King of the Cage, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Way back in the day.
He's actually done pretty good in the UFC, but he's still not in he's still on the undercard or the prelim portion of my mindset. He's not crossed over yet.
No. And I'm not sure that he's going to with one KO in this last 6 fights and the rest of them were decisions, several of them split. So, yeah, no. I'm still confusing him with Sam Cecilia, who I don't even think is in the UFC anymore. Am I correct on that? Huh? Do you know? You have no idea, do you?
I don't know. I haven't. That's a Zane Simon question.
Yeah, it is. All right, so we don't care about that one. Now we've got lightweight Davy Ramos versus Nick Hein.
No.
Nope.
We're going quick.
I know. We're gonna have to talk about the Golden State Killer in more detail. Any new leads in the case?
What's that?
Is there anything new on the case?
No, nothing. I mean, nothing. I'm kind of intrigued how they caught him through DNA testing. That family stuff was pretty fascinating.
It is, and anybody who's got relatives that are it's like one thing to not give your DNA away, but your dumbass relatives are doing it anyway.
Yeah, you have no say in it. That people are people that have given away your relatives, and then they can track down and narrow someone in your family. Yeah. This is just, I don't know. This is a really gross invasion of privacy because if you're killing people, you didn't give people the right to investigate you.
I believe you're wrong on that. Actually,
okay. I could be wrong. I'm a little alarmed here about certain things, but coming back to how my past.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm intrigued what other cases they can, there's, they're doing a test. They sent in the samples from the letters from the Zodiac Killer to try to do the same thing with that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be worth going. I bet you anything, though, the Zodiac is dead.
Yeah, he's that age group when he was also an older guy when it was happening. They know that. So
yeah,
he's much older than the original Night Stalker was.
Yeah. Yeah. The Golden State Killer was some excellent rebranding. Patton Oswalt's late wife might not have solved the case, but she did rebrand the dude very well because original Night Stalker was never going to fly as a big time serial killer.
Especially because when you get upset by the next, even though he was a more impressive serial killer,
he was a much scarier dude than Richard Ramirez. But Richard Ramirez was an attention getter. You've got to hand it to him.
Yeah, well, Richard Ramirez had style, as they say.
Yes. It was all bad, and we disapprove. For the record, we're against.
Oh, very much against serial killers. Very much. But we're very fascinated by them too.
But it's fascinating stuff, and we all like to sit at home and pretend we're cracking the case. But now
I would have solved this.
Yeah, if I'd had a little extra time on the weekends, I could.
Well, it's fascinating. One of the first times I moved into Hollywood, not one of the first, but when I first moved out, a few years a year after I moved into Hollywood, a woman down the street got killed. Not by me, I almost said that, but she got killed. Wasn't by me, but she got murdered.
If you confess on the air, I will take the credit for busting you.
And that's if you confess on the air, I will give you a raise.
Yeah, I've told this to many people in my life. Like, look, if I find out you're a serial killer or even just a one-time killer, all bets are off. We're not friends anymore. I'm sorry, I got to do what I got to do.
But I also want to do the story on you. That's all. That's the other part.
I do want the inside access for the story. Yeah.
But she got murdered, and then we found out later that it was the Hollywood Ripper was the guy that killed her. Yes,
a brand name guy.
Yeah, and you piece it together. It became obvious why they could link all these murders. But it was kind of fascinating. Did
they ever catch him?
Yeah, they caught him. Yeah, that was the girl from Ashton Kutcher that was murdered back in 2001. So
the girl from Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, girlfriend.
Wow.
The actor. So she was in a bungalow. Some guy broke in and just stabbed her repeatedly.
Terrible.
40 times. And then they linked it back later. They realized that when he was living in Indiana, they finally got a suspect. They realized he was living in Indiana. When he was living in Indiana, his neighbor girl got murdered, stabbed multiple times. And then when he was living in another part of LA,
it just kept happening
down the street. Yeah, just what's random luck? A
wacky series of coincidences.
I kind of blame Eugene and his random stabber.
It could be. All right, let's keep moving here. Lightweight Davi Ramos versus Nick Hein.
No.
Nick Hein is flirting with it, but
yeah, neither one is at the top of the division. Again, these are a lot of guys have a lot of wins that are interesting and you're almost on your radar.
Yeah,
they haven't crossed over. It's not like they had a win against a big name and they're in the. It's when you start seeing them in the top 15 UFC rankings. Even though I shouldn't use the UFC rankings, but that's the only one anybody ever prints.
Yeah, and also I look for finishes because to me, if a guy's not finishing fights at the bottom tier of the UFC, they're not going to be finishing fights at the top tier of the UFC. And forgive me, I like finished fights. I don't watch the UFC for point fighting. I'm sorry, that makes me a bad person. I like to watch a definitive conclusion to a fight. It's a fight.
That's why the pro wrestling matches in the past would take hours because the crowds demanded a finish. They didn't want points or anything. They'd be furious. They'd say, "Let it go for hours. We don't care."
Well, those were the old school. Those were the great old days of grappling.
Yes, that's what. Who doesn't want to see a 5-hour match between Ed the Strangler Lewis and Stetcher? Come on.
I mean, sure. If it was 1935 and
well, it's actually been 1915, but still, it's
whatever. But the entertainment options were even limited. In
35, they're introducing the Irish whip and all that crap.
Well, that's because they had to compete with radio and movies, and
they also and people knew it was fake. There's no more gambling money. You couldn't milk in the suckers anymore like you could.
That was the real classic.
That was the day of real fighting, not this crap.
Yes. I mean, can you imagine when your fighting career was like, look, the next gig I got for you is we need to go to this mining camp in Alaska and work as a miner for 3 months undercover. Slowly pick a brawl with not the toughest guy in the camp, but 4th or 5th toughest guy. Work your way up, get some buzz going. Then we'll bring in a big name to do the circuit in your area. Then you beat up the toughest guy in the camp, and then you come challenge him.
And then we decide whoever gets the most bets on him, who's going to win. And basically, that's the Frank Gotch story in Alaska.
Exactly. Then we see that's how they find out if you're a professional fighter or not.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about that. That you'd be sitting there and go, oh, look at this pig farmer coming in to challenge a guy. Next thing you know, damn, that pig farmer's Charles Olson guy.
Exactly. Those cauliflower. How do you get cauliflower ears down on the ranch?
Yeah. Look at this. That's the way we should have that now. You remember when Robin Phoenix was fighting people? The guy in the mask in the carnival? We got to bring that back to MMA. We need that.
I'm
losing
there.
Its carny roots.
It's definitely lost but it's kind of going back with these stupid boxing matches and the Mayweather McGregor modified rules MMA match they were talking about. That's actually deeply in the tradition of MMA. That's the kind of shit Gene LeBell was doing in the 60s.
My one thing against it's not low rent enough to be MMA. MMA is low rent.
It should be a carnival in a parking lot in Utah, not a mammoth arena in Las Vegas. That's true. That's very true. Good point. All right, let's keep moving. Heavyweight, Oleinik versus Junior Albini.
Oleinik had the Ezekiel choke once, so I think he's the only guy to ever do that.
Yes, and that was a very impressive. So I like Oleinik, although
I don't care still though.
Yeah, I will watch it and be interested. So I'll give it a care just because everything's relative. And Albini just lost to Arlovsky, but I think Junior can beat the piss out of him basically.
See, the reason I can't get intrigued by this, I have no hope of either of these guys rising in the heavyweight division.
Well, maybe the heyweight division will lower itself to them.
Again, that's a good point.
Because if Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou are the future of the division, those guys are great and entertaining as all get out, but there's not a depth of skill there.
Yeah, well, the thing about Ngannou, you see he's gone so far in 4 years. You think, well, if he could work on his,
we've seen this is OSP bigger and slightly more athletic.
Yeah, but you're also in a division where there's less talented guys.
It's true.
And even the OSP is in a weak division, but it keeps as you go up higher, you can be even much weaker, more one-dimensional.
But if Daniel Cormier moves up to heavyweight, these guys are history.
Even if he's 50. Though.
Yeah.
It's only 1 year at heavyweight. He'll run that division for that 9 months that he's champ.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So I care about Oleinik and Albini though, and I'm going to pick Albini.
Ooh, okay, I got to write that down then.
Yeah, you got to write that down because I'm like water. I don't remember this. Not only do I not predict the future, I don't acknowledge the past. We are in the Trump era, people, and I'm here with you, MAGA. Making it MAGA every day. All right, middleweight, Cezar Ferreira versus Karl Roberson.
No.
Yeah, no. Sorry, me neither. All right, now we're into pay-per-view country. So we're not only going to not care, we're going to say how much we would pay for these fights.
We're going to pay a price.
Right off the opener. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but honestly, I would feel this fight was being more honored if it was headlining an FS1 card than if it's a pay-per-view opener. So this is middleweight, Vitor Belfort versus Lyoto. I'm the only veteran middleweight that would actually fight Vitor Belfort at this point, Machida. So
I think everybody wanted to fight him just to get one last crack.
Not Bisping.
Well, Bisping didn't want to give him. I think Bisping knew he'd also could possibly lose.
Yeah, exactly.
My thing, since this is Vitor Belfort's last fight on this contract, my theory is he's juiced to the gills because what does it matter?
Exactly. And he's probably headed to Japan after this anyway, don't you think?
Yeah, but so he fails the test. He still gets those win money, whatever. They can't take it back. I don't think.
Yeah, that's a good plan. I don't think we should be giving Belfort this kind of advice. But do you think he beats Machida?
I give him if he's juiced to the gills, I give him a very good chance because Machida's one of the all-time greats, but he's old and he's lost it. He needed without that quickness, even though he was all reflex skill, was all skill. Even a small step back.
He's too slow to do his game at this point.
His game was built on margins, just being 1 inch away from you, and now he can't do that. So I'd have to go Belfort, but I'm not picking any. I don't care about this fight. It's sad.
You don't care about this fight? I do care. It is sad. But the sadness is part of the whole thing to me. This embarrassing oh, is Chuck Liddell fighting at age 50? That kind of stuff to me, that gives me the warm fuzzies. I feel at home. I feel at home in the world where Chuck Liddell has to fight at age 50. You know,
I can't. I mean, I feel at home in the sense
Liddell
that that's the MMA I understand. The guys are broke at 50, but it's not something I want to see. I still haven't watched that 2000 or fight, whatever that card.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't need to see that.
Huh.
I thought it was a genius freak show element, but I had no interest in seeing it.
Well,
plus I got the gifts later.
Yeah, it didn't live up to it. Was better consumed efficiently in highlights. So you won't pay anything for this fight. This is a $0 value.
Yeah, it's a negative. It's going to take money from me. It's going to take my hopes and dreams and stuff, and just going to make me depressed.
What hopes and dreams do you have for Vitor and Machida at this point?
How freaking old I am, and the air of time beats down on you, and even with all the drugs I can get a hold of, I can't stay young forever, and that I can't sacrifice small children to keep me alive. That the way they promised me.
Isn't that what they did to Gidira? Like,
yes, he
got taken. Don't play cards with Satan. He'll deal you a rotten hand. That's
but he helped Joan of Arc win the war. So that's you got to weigh the positives with the negatives.
It's complicated man. Let's just say Gidira, complicated man. And I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but I'll give it $15 for this. You're gonna have to do the math.
$15? Way too generous.
These guys are big names, man. I mean,
you're a mark.
I am a mark. That's why I'm here doing this.
Okay.
All right. Bantamweight, John Lineker versus Brian Kelleher. I don't care about Kelleher. I still sort of vestigely care about
Lineker. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is, but
fun to watch in the scales too.
Yeah, that's the thing, because he's one of these guys that moves up and still has problems with the scales. Like,
he's a rumble.
It's like me in a pass-fail class. Like, it's like, oh, I could easily get a 70 in this class in my sleep, but as soon as I sign up for a pass-fail, that 70 becomes a real,
Yeah, you don't put – it only takes me a minimum effort to get past this class. I'm not going to do that minimum effort now.
Exactly.
It was so easy. I knew that.
Yeah.
And then you're going to dream about it for decades later, waking up like, oh, fuck, I'm late for class.
Yeah. I never have those dreams. I never – no.
I don't know why. I never did care about school that much.
I didn't care enough. I did have the I'm naked in the classroom dream, but not that I'm late for the test.
I never had the nude dreams. I always had the flying dreams, but then you're flying really slow and it's kind of pathetic. Like
I always had these, like, when I did have flying dreams, it was like I could barely get above the roof line, and I felt like I knew I was dreaming and kind of forcing it, like it wasn't like one of these I'm Superman gliding through.
My new thing is all my dreams are incredibly mundane. It's like me at a table having lunch with friends.
Ooh, I had a creepy dream the other day.
Really?
So I'm taking a nap, and like Saturday morning or whatever, the whole family somehow is out of the house. I seize my opportunity. I'm on the couch. I doze off, and then I dream that my kid is back in the house, and I think it's a school day, and I'm like, oh, hey, just let me, I give him something to do so I can go back to napping. And then I'm like, wait a minute, he should be at school. And so in my dream, I go and I'm like, hey, kid, what class did you walk out of? What are you doing at home? And he won't tell me. And I'm like getting increasingly mad. And then I realize it's not my kid.
Well, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy.
I'm creeped out here right now.
And the creepy part was, since it was like,
it's a changeling.
It was a nap time dream. Like, I fell asleep in the living room, and the dream was taking place in the living room. So there was a very thin line between the real and the dream was in sunlight rather than darkness, which is somewhat unusual.
The worst dreams are the ones where you can't. You wake up later, and later in the day, you're like, "Did I dream that, or was that really happen?"
Have I told you about my recurring business travel nightmare?
No.
I used to spend 1 year. I spent like 100-something days on the road, and I had this recurring nightmare that I woke up and I didn't know where I was, and then I would wake up and not know where I was.
That's George Carlin, though. That's when you go to bed in the afternoon and you wake up and it's dark out and you have no clue. Is it night or the next day?
Yeah, it's except I knew it was night.
My recurring nightmare is I'm meeting a girl and everything's going great.
No one cares about your recurring nightmares. Come on, we've got a show to do.
We got to move on.
Jesus God.
But it turns very blind. No, I'm just kidding. Those are
right.
original Night Stalker territory.
Yeah. I'm pretty upset about Elon Musk scooping in on this chick I'd never heard of before. What was her name? Grimace or
Oh yeah, they over a nerd joke. The two of them, like,
is that they bonded? What is her name? What's her name?
I don't know who she is even. I never even heard of her before.
Grimes. So I'd never heard of her before either, but now I'm very upset.
They're like they're all very proud of themselves for doing a Rocco's Basilisk jokes. So witty.
Wow.
Have you heard of that thing, Rocco's Basilisk? That's actually kind of interesting. Much more interesting than this card. It's the idea.
Right. Let's keep moving. So, do we care about Lineker and Kelleher?
I do, yes. Okay. And I'm picking Lineker.
And
I'm going to give that fight a whole $3.
I say it's a $5 fight, and I care, and I'm picking Kelleher just because Lineker is a gict. Not a gicta, but a gict. All right, so now we've got women's strawweight, Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Cooper.
Mackenzie Dern's kind of interesting because she's the next big prospect. Everybody's going nuts, but who she's facing is like a joke.
I care, though. I buy in the hype.
But it's not like Aaron Pico where there seems to be. I bet there's a much better chance of immense violence in an Aaron Pico fight.
I like skill. I'm sorry. I like the jiu-jitsu.
It's going to be like she's going to drag her down. It's going to be a slow process of getting the sub. And
there could be some amazing miracle hold we've never seen before. Huh?
I very much doubt it.
You've never heard the term Ulala before, but after this card, it's going to be rolling off your lips. It's an amazing submission she's been working on secretly in camp.
Which you just made up right now, or what?
But I mean, it's possible that she has a submission we've never seen before. She's 6-0. I mean, but we'll see. We'll see. But I'll pay $10 for an exciting prospect.
$10.
$10, man. I'm made of money. Look, I drink grapefruit
juice. Are we using real money or Monopoly money when we do this show?
Well, I get, I get expensed for it, but it's, yeah. All right, so are you adding this up?
The UFC makes so much money. People are just throwing money at fights like this, $10.
I know. Are you adding this up? Like, where are we at so far?
Yeah, you're at $15, and I've spent $2.
Yeah, well, there you go. All right, now we get to middleweight. Kelvin Gastelum versus Ronaldo Jacare Souza.
Okay, this is a good fight. This is top, guys. This is relevancy. This is top talent. This is Gastelum's younger, could probably knock him out, but I think Souza still has a little bit left. He's going to get him. He's bigger. He's going to get a hold of him, and as soon as he gets him his grip, it's Chris Weidman all over again.
This is a very tough. So you're picking Jacare.
Yes.
You're still in my pick, dude. You knew that going in. You knew that was my pick.
But I guess that. I know you're Jacare Mark. So.
Well, I mean, Kelvin's whole MO, though, is feasting on these guys that are on the edge of being too old to be relevant. So I'm going to go with Kelvin just because you picked my pick.
God, I hope he loses now. Otherwise, I'm hosed.
Yeah, you're hosting.
And I'm spending $5. What are you spending? I'm
spending 15, man. This is a major deal. Hey, it's a $65 card, dude. I'm not even gonna get close to $65.
I gotta start MMA promotion. Just charge you. You could keep us afloat with this kind of money.
Like I said, I expense this shit to Vox, so I've fallen into the old rock critic trap of which of these 90 free CDs that came in the mail do I give a shit about? You can't evaluate stuff that way. You have to go out and seek it and be passionate about it. But here I am.
You don't have skin in the game. When you don't have skin in the game, it's not a.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a movie critic going to all the movies, but nobody even goes to movies anymore. That's the thing. And Siskel and Ebert are both dead, huh? How about that?
I met Ebert once, and that's the saddest thing when he died. It's just really, now I'm depressed. He
went out hard, man. But Siskel went out hard too. It just wasn't as well documented.
People forget too what an influence they had, especially a guy like me coming from America. We're not a film culture, but these guys came on and explained why the '70s were important. I'm like, fuck, I gotta see at least.
And now people like Zane Simon are out there blathering about film. You think Zane's ever seen a film? It's all kids watching all digital reproductions. Like,
well, actually, Zane watches a lot of good movies, but drives me nuts. He sees them all on DVD or Blu-ray. I go to the theater every
to see film.
To see motherfucking
and you don't even call it film. You call it the movies. He's watching on DVD, calls it film. Millennials, what are you gonna do? And
I'm watching Truffaut festivals and stuff. I'm not watching crap.
If I had time, I watch a lot of World Star Hip Hop. So if I had time to watch movies instead of and the Food Ranger, you ever watch the Food Ranger on YouTube?
I do not watch Food Ranger.
The guy, if you're dieting, I like to watch food movies when I'm not eating.
Yeah.
And this guy travels like the back roads of Sichuan, China. He's a Canadian kid who speaks beautiful Chinese, and he's eating cicadas and tripe, and this, he'll eat anything. And he gives you a good, it's just great.
There's a show on Netflix, somewhat, I guess not like that, but I watch occasionally, called Ugly and Delicious or something like that. It's about guys traveling. They find the roots and all the different varieties. Like, they do pizza, and they go all over the world to see all the different types of pizza made. They, barbecue, and why barbecues are popular everywhere and stuff.
Sounds like a big production, big corporate
It is
thing,
kind of a big production.
I'm like a lo-fi, from the people kind of food ranger guy.
You want to go Ramones, back to the basics.
Exactly.
Like, hey, we don't need arena rock food critics.
Exactly. All right. So now we've got the headliner. Women's bantamweight, Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington. I called this the featherweight title in the fucking... Yeah, because they were originally going to be Cyborg versus Nunes for the featherweight title, but that was scrapped. That would have been a much more exciting fight.
Much more intriguing.
Yeah.
This is a one-sided fight.
To say the least.
Kill her.
Unless Pennington drags her into the deep waters. The proverbial.
Be late round, so we don't know. But I don't think she will.
No, I don't either. I think she's going to.
I don't have much interest in the fight. It's I care enough though, because it's a title fight.
I care about Nunes, but I don't feel like that. She's got Nunes. That she's got the dreaded no worthy challengers problem. You can't be a great fighter without a series of worthy challengers.
You're Larry Holmes territory.
Exactly. Hickson Gracie never had the great challenge. Never had the great, except for his. Okay, in Brazil in the 80s, he did have his great challenges.
Yeah, that's why those are legendary. Underground Grill, versus King Zulu.
Yeah.
And then, Hugo Duarte, come on, he just beat a guy up on a beach. And
that's not. I don't count that at all. I do not count that.
Sand in the guy's face.
And we've seen what Hugo Duarte was made of when he fought Mark Kerr. He fled the ring against Mark Kerr. So, yeah, much respect to Hugo Duarte, pioneer of the sport, but dude fucking ran in prize fights. Like,
you know what I always wondered about? Why didn't when Vale Tudo Japan did their tournaments with Hickson, I should say?
Yes, that's kind of 101 there.
Brain fart. Sorry. Why did they get any of the guys from Pancrase to come?
Well, it was a business thing. They couldn't get the guys from Pancrase. Yeah. They were not getting the guys from Pancrase because they were affiliated with the whole Tiger Mask Judo crew.
No, I kind of got that part, like the actual stars, but I meant the guys. I should have said the guys training with them, the Lions Den guys. Why didn't any of them come on over?
It was the whole Pancrase thing. If your whole ticket to Japan is via Funaki and Suzuki, you're not going to fuck them over. You're never going to fight in Pancrase again. Yeah. Probably won't get trained at the Lions Den again either.
But it would have been intriguing if, if Shamrock, after losing at the UFC, instead joined the Vale Tudo Japan tournament, because he was working on it. He was getting better at he was much more prepared for hoist later on. I mean.
Yeah,
so
but
that would have been, what if?
I know. What if Hickson versus Ken Shamrock in their heyday? I spent many a night laying awake thinking about that. Or Marco Huas. Why didn't Hickson fight Marco Huas? Why didn't Ken Shamrock fight Marco Huas? Anyway, well, we know those fights would have sucked because that was the era.
But we would have said this there and think they're amazing, even though they suck.
Yeah. Well, no, but Huas and Ken Shamrock, frequently we knew they sucked at the time. I mean, that was a consistent 1 out of 3 fights involving Ken Shamrock.
The first couple years, because none of his fights went long. It's only after UFC 3, and then when the Dan Severn fight, then it's okay. Now we see a trend developing with Ken Shamrock.
Yes.
Before that was a
UFC 5, the UFC 5, the UFC 9.
Yeah.
And Huas was just as stally, if not worse. His legendary face-offs with Oleg Toktarov.
Yeah, we're gonna get all that. We have a show about that apparently.
Exactly. That's a whole different thing. Anyway, so I will pay $10 for Nunes Pennington. I don't think it's worth as much as the Jacare Gastelum, but it's not sexism. Even though I am a pig, it is not sexism making me say that. It's just I don't think Pennington's the right challenger. I wanted Cyborg versus Nunes, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'll give this fight $3 because it should be on TV.
You are a tight wad, man.
Well, come on, you're telling me you would pay more than $10 for this whole card?
Pay them. No. Come on. Get real. If I didn't have to watch this card, I fucking wouldn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the point. I'm trying to present a realistic price point on it. Like, you better get 6 friends, each one to make it worthwhile. If 6 people won't show up and watch this with you, you're not watching.
I can't even get 2 people. I can't even get a person for this.
Yeah, that's kind of my boat. I can get my brother occasionally and a friend occasionally. If it's
down,
a few
it's down to 1 friend for the big fights.
Yeah,
like the days of having doing the whole bit.
It's a specific fighter that 1 or 2 guys will say they'll show up if that guy's fighting. Yeah. But it's funny because 5-6 years ago there was a bunch. Maybe it might be longer now. Think about it, but there's a bunch of people that they had no clue who's fighting. They'd show up. It was
I know. I had a friend who would make this great barbecue, and he'd have great whiskey and smokables, and it was just this rolling feast or sitting feast. 6-7 people would show up. Now he's moving back to town, and I don't even know that he's gonna. I used to go to parties. Yeah, I remember there used to be parties every weekend that there was a UFC event. We'd go. Yeah, because there was only a UFC event like 4 times a year.
Yeah, well, once a month. So I think that made it.
Once a month was doable. Yeah, but they have killed. I did run into a guy I used to watch UFC with last night, and he's still into it. So I was happy to hear that. Anyway, all right. Well, that's our show. We'll be back later this evening, 7:20 p.m. Central Time. No, Pacific Time, 9:20 p.m. Central Time, 10:20 Eastern for If I Did It and If the Shoes Fit with Aleksei Old, and you and I know Eugene. So Eugene fans are out of luck this week. I'm sorry. He's rocking the world in Italy.
Yeah, so all those Nazi references are going to go unsaid.
I'm glad you worked it in. We did go overboard with the serial killers, and you were pretty creepy with the whole "Am I a serial killer?" thing. So
I was not intentional. You're
some
pushing
of
it
our
on me.
Viewers are millennium women, and they are very frightened by just even the hint that
you
look like
say but you're making it sound like I killed women as a serial killer.
Oh, you're one of the dreaded man killers.
I mean, it's the Kansas City torture has that's a little.
That guy was boy.
Oh fuck! Don't even Google that guy. No, don't Google that man.
Yeah, that's Don't read about the Candyman in Houston.
Yeah, Dean Cornell. Yes, don't whatever you do. Although there is some fascinating story about the girl that survived him. There was one potential female victim by accident. Otherwise, no. Yeah,
oh, that's where they drew the line.
Case.
Yeah,
or John Wayne Gacy, or we got a lot of good.
No, we don't even want to get there. All right, but that's our show. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter @Kidnat, @Kidnate, @HeyNotTheFace. Read us at bloodyelbow.com. You're going to have some big articles for us, right? Huh?
There's a few. I know you're excited.
I know, yeah, because I love paying you, and then at the end of the month, like looking at what I got for it, and then seeing,
You got 42 video appearances.
He was available for some videos that nobody watched, but the articles that we're paying him for are still in the research department. So I appreciate you coming in, and the fans appreciate you coming in, but be real. It's the investigative journalism that you're known for that we were paying.
It's investigative journalism that we're still waiting to get you done. You're supposed to be investigating.
Yes, get back to investigating. All right. And I think that's our show. So adios, MMA aficionados. Thanks for watching. Thanks, John. We'll see you this evening.